And welcome into post-game chats with AJ McCord. The Blazers drop game one here in Oracle, 116-94, the final score. And despite the final score, this game really was a lot closer than that might lead you to believe. The Blazers cut this thing down to just a 6-point deficit in the fourth quarter before Golden State went on their run and didn't look back. The Splash Brothers in rare form tonight, 52 points between the two, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Meanwhile, Damian Lillard and AJ McCord struggling from the field. They went 11 of 21 points. 31 points. Math is hard this late at night. 11 of 31, and then they had 17 for CJ and 19 for Dame. In addition to that, the Blazers had 21 turnovers, which led to 31 Golden State points. I asked the team after the game, was that about something Golden State was doing or something you guys weren't doing as much? And they said, you know what, it's a little bit of both, but either way, it's something we got to tighten up before game two.
We had like 13 in the first half, so it's hard to win a game like that regardless of how good you play, so we got to cut those down.
A bit of both. Obviously one of the best defensive teams in the league for the past few years, so we got to take care of the ball, and then when we turn it over, it's double trouble because they usually score on it, so we got to be better offensively to keep up with them.
We made some poor decisions, but I thought they were really aggressive on the ball. They got deflections, and 31. I don't know how many of them were transition, but we never really got on track offensively.
Sometimes I couldn't even get an attempt up. Even if I was trying to force it, but they did a good job tonight defensively, and even when I was trying to find guys, they were getting deflections, just because it was a crowd. They were making me play in the crowd, so. I thought they were successful at that in this first game.
The Warriors certainly did a good job of containing Damian Lillard tonight in what could have been his homecoming here to his hometown of Oakland, California. He did wear an Athletics jersey coming into the game with Lillard on the back, but certainly not the shooting night he would have liked to have. Now, don't be confused. The Blazers did have some pretty good shots, pretty open looks, in fact, but they just weren't falling. And when you combine that with the tough shots that they were forced to take, like what Dame was talking about there, it was just a night that the Blazers didn't get in a rhythm offensively. And we talked about it. It's less than 48 hours since they won Game 7 against Denver, and that emotional high of punching your ticket to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in 20 years is not to be dismissed. It was something the team celebrated and was very excited about, but then having to travel on Sunday night, turn the page, and Rodney Hood told me yesterday was really dedicated to just getting their bodies right. And Evan Turner said, you know what, tonight was a little bit of winging it out here as far as the game plan goes. This is a team they're comfortable with. They know very well in Golden State. They played each other 4 times this season, split the series during the regular season, and so they did come in here being very familiar with their opponent, but obviously the game plan needing some tweaking before they hit Oracle again on Thursday for Game 2. Here's what the Blazers say are some of the things they'd like to mix up.
I think we just gotta make Klay and stuff uncomfortable. I think they were pretty comfortable out there tonight, so we just need to make him a little uncomfortable. And I think we just need to go out there and just play harder than them.
I think for the bigs, we can help by being up a little higher. I know we're trying to play off, so because they move off the ball, so we're trying to disrupt that, but. At the same time tonight, coming off the screens, the bigs are setting good screens, and it's hard for guards to get around them with no help. So I think the bigs got to do a better job of being up there and helping the guards, and we'll watch film and see what else we can do.
You mentioned the pick and roll, CJ. What do you guys have to do differently?
Anything but what we did tonight.
Brutally honest, as usual, from CJ McCollum. We got to do anything but what we did tonight against Steph Curry. Steph had more open threes than the Blazers can afford to give him. In fact, let's look at his stat line. He was 12 of 23, 9 of 15 from the perimeter for a whopping total of 36 points. So that is not a winning recipe for the Blazers. And Cantor said it was a little bit of their game plan to give them some open looks, but certainly not as many as they did tonight, and something they're going to have to change on Thursday if they would like to walk away with a split series here before they return the series to Moda Center on Saturday, I believe it is. So we talked a little bit about how they want to mix up the defense. We talked about how that emotional high of winning the series in Denver may have played an effect. The good news is physically this team says this team says they're just fine. Everyone's in good health. Dame, I know it looked like he was kind of straining his hammy a little bit there in the game, but he said afterwards he's totally fine physically. Rodney Hood said his knee did flare up a little bit, and he would not comment on his status for Game 2, but he never came out of the game because of injury tonight. So I would expect him back on the court here in Oracle on Thursday night for Game 2 despite that injury. So tomorrow is really going to be a lot more about a mental day and looking at their defense and figuring out how to stop those pick and rolls. When I was watching this game, it really was. Someone would set the screen for Steph, and then all of a sudden he was wide open, and you cannot let Steph Curry get wide open three-point shots and expect to win the game. They had far too many of them tonight. So I would expect the defense to change quite a bit, and I think that's really going to be the biggest focus, because if the Blazers can change their defense a bit, I think the offense is going to have a chance to get rolling as well. Those 21 turnovers, it's just hard to get in a rhythm that way, especially when you have guys who are having an off night shooting. I mean, Dame has not been as prolific of a shooter as he would certainly like to have been in these last couple games in particular. And CJ, Mr. Shark, who threw down 37 on Sunday, had only 17 tonight. But if you go down the Blazers point totals, 5 guys were in double figures. So it's not like they weren't scoring as many points as they necessarily should have, but you got to focus on that defensive side of the ball, and then the offense will have a chance to get rolling. And we know this team is a rhythm team. We know that when Dame gets going, he really gets going. Same with Rodney Hood, same with CJ. And so when the offense is that split like it was tonight, then that is going to be a problem. Now, after the game, Zach Collins said, you know what? We've been here before, and Blazers fans, you're going to remember that very well. Against Denver, they started the series down 0-1, and in Game 5 against Denver, they were blown straight out of the water at the Mile High City, losing by about 25, if memory serves me. So, with that being said, the team says, you know what? We've been here before. We are still very confident that we can walk away with a win on Thursday.
It's only just one game. It's a long series, you know. We cannot, coach said, we cannot put our head down. So we just need to go out there, second game, just go out there, play with intensity, play with pace, and just play harder.
It's a long series. I don't think anybody's really, taking this loss that hard. I mean, we didn't play well, and I know it was kind of like Game 5 in Denver, even though that was a big blowout. I think we're all very confident still, and like I said, we're going to watch film and tighten some things up.
I mean, we lost one game. I mean, it's game 1 of a series. They got to win 4 games. It's the first to 4, not the first to 1. So we got to tighten up and obviously execute a little bit better. Play three better quarters going into the 4th, and then tighten up in the 4th quarter on Thursday.
Yeah, we're fine. We're good. Like we said, most of our past 48 hours was just rest in a sense. So right now, not saying we winged it, but we didn't really have much court time just to save the bodies and be prepared. So I think we got a lot of great things to take from this game, and we could clean up and go into Game 2 and try to get one.
Certainly, that would be an ideal situation for the Blazers right now, to walk into Thursday and walk out with a win, take this series split back to Moda Center, where they are so good, so strong. And like we talked about in the pregame show, this is the first team that the Blazers have faced this postseason that they split the series with in the regular season. Now, there are some differences. This is the first time the Blazers have played the Warriors since Nurk went down. And as Cantor, it's his first time working in this system against the Warriors. And it seemed like tonight, defensively, and has had a couple of reads maybe that were just a little off, and it led to some really quick sneaks through the back door. And here in Oracle, when somebody dunks it, it gets very, very loud, as it does in Moda. So those kind of momentum shifting plays didn't help when the Blazers weren't shooting their best and they were having as many turnovers as they did. But one thing we have seen is that Terry Stotts knows how to make adjustments in the playoffs. We talked about it on Rip City Radio earlier this morning, how he went with Zach and Rodney in Game 7 against Denver a lot longer than he normally would have, and he gets a lot of flack for not changing up his rotation. But he has proved this postseason he can make those adjustments from game to game, and so now they've got 48 hours to figure it out. And if they can do that and walk away with a series split against the Warriors in these first 2 games, they certainly like their chances of defending home court after that. Now, the Blazers will have media availability tomorrow, and of course we will be there for you. So be sure to tune to my Twitter and my Instagram for all the behind the scenes stories from the Blazers and the Warriors availability tomorrow. And also, we might do a little bit of exploring around San Francisco. So feel free to send any restaurant recommendations. If you guys know me, you know I love food. So send those in, any sites to see. We would love to see them. And thank you so much for joining us for post-game chats. We will see you Thursday for Courtside Chats at 5 o'clock before the Blazers and the Warriors tip off Game 2 at 6 o'clock.